Hare Krishna. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama, or the Supreme Personality. It is He only who can award liberation to the impersonalists by absorbing such aspirants in the Brahmajyoti, the bodily rays of the Lord. The Brahmajyoti is not separate from the Lord, as the glowing sun ray is not independent of the sun disk, or the sun planet. Therefore, one who desires to merge into the Supreme Impersonal Brahmajyoti must also worship the Lord by Bhakti Yoga, as recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Yoga means connecting or uniting with the Lord through devotional service. Bhakti means devotional service, and yoga means to connect. Bhakti Yoga is especially stressed here as the means of all perfection. In the previous chapters, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And in the same way, in this chapter, it is emphatically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of the different varieties of worship of the different demigods. Karma Yoga means connecting with the Lord through our activities, our karma. As we explained in the other reading, there are certain natural inclinations that people have to perform work in the different varnas, Vaishya, Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, or Brahmana. And whatever work we perform according to our natures, we can do that as a service to the Lord. And Jnana Yoga, Jnana means knowledge. Bhakti Yoga, thus being the supreme means of self-realization, is recommended here. Bhakti Yoga is the supreme means of self-realization because when the Lord reveals Himself by being pleased with us through our service, then we become conscious of Him, and when we become conscious of God, we become conscious of our real selves also, because we are the same nature. We are the same spiritual nature as God. We are as spiritual as God is, but He is very great and we are very small. So if we realize God, we also become conscious of our real nature. Just like by the principle of association. When we associate, whoever we associate with, they rub off on us and they affect our attitudes, our behaviors. We get affected by their association. So if we associate with Krishna, if we become Krishna conscious, God conscious, then the effect is we become self-realized. We realize our true selves because we are also spiritual by nature. So when we become conscious of the spiritual nature of God, we also realize our own spiritual nature. Everyone must therefore seriously take up the methods of Bhakti Yoga, even though one aspires for material enjoyment or liberation from material bondage. So in this verse, there's explained that whatever we desire, we should worship the Supreme Lord. Whether we have many material desires, whether we have no material desires, or whether we desire liberation, we should approach the Supreme Lord. We should worship the Supreme Lord. Not that there's a prerequisite. You must be of a certain caliber of person. You must be free from material desires to approach the Supreme, all pure, all spiritual personality of Godhead, Krishna. There's no prerequisite. If you are full of material desires, still you worship the Lord. Because through that contact one becomes purified. By contacting the Supreme Lord through that worship, one becomes purified, and one may reduce, those material desires may reduce. In fact, it is stated elsewhere that anyway, if you want to enjoy in the material world, don't worship the Supreme Lord. Once you start associating with the Supreme Lord, it becomes so evident that He is so much higher. It's such a higher taste to be engaged in spiritual activities, and it's so wonderful to associate with the Lord that anything else becomes insignificant, and one loses that taste for the material enjoyment. So I'd say that if you really do want to enjoy materially, don't worship, don't associate with Krishna. Don't worship Krishna. It's a kind of tongue-in-cheek. But if you do have material desires, you want to have there's some material aspiration, also worship Krishna for that. Who else are you going to worship? Rather worship Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, even if you have material desires, because you're chanting Hare Krishna. So naturally you become purified by that process, and the material desires can get fulfilled, and also the desire decreases and one becomes more peaceful. The fire of material desire. So it's explained that if one tries to satisfy one's material desires, one generally thinks, okay, I'm going to now engage in fulfilling that desire, then I'll be satisfied, then I'll be peaceful, the desire will go away. That's compared to trying to put out a fire with a liquid, but that liquid is petrol. Looks like a liquid that might put out the fire, like water is liquid, but it's the wrong liquid. So it's actually the wrong way to decrease or get free from one's material desire, lust and greed and all those things. It's the wrong process to try to fulfill those desires. The desires won't go away. If one is trying to get the desires to go away by trying to fulfill the desires, that's the wrong process. The right process is to become God conscious and develop a higher taste. Then one can give up lower desires, lower tastes, and become peaceful. It's explained in Bhagavad Gita that the austerity of the mind is satisfaction. The mind can be satisfied, but it's like an austerity for the mind to be satisfied. It wants to desire this and that and more things, and never settling. So it's the austerity of the mind to be satisfied. It can be satisfied, but it's austere, it's difficult. Akama is one who has no material desire. A living being, naturally, being the part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, Purusham Purnam, has as his natural function to serve the Supreme Being, just as the parts and parcels of the body, or the limbs of the body, are naturally meant to serve the complete body. The hand can't decide, I'm going to eat now. I'm going to absorb food into me. It won't work. The hand has to put the food into the mouth, and it goes to the stomach, then the nutrients get dispersed in the body. Similarly, the living entity, the soul, needs to serve the Lord, just like you pour water on the root of a tree. Then all the parts of the tree are satisfied. So we are parts and parcels of the Supreme Being. As I said, we are as spiritual as God, but we are tiny and He is great. Desireless means therefore not to be inert like the stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position and thus desire satisfaction only from the Supreme Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this desirelessness as bhajaniya parama purusha sukha matra sva sukhatva in his Sandarbha. This means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. This intuition of the living being is sometimes manifested even during the conditioned stage of a living being in the material world, and such intuition is expressed in the manner of altruism, philanthropy, socialism, communism, etc., by the undeveloped minds of less intelligent persons. This tendency is properly practiced by serving God. Service to God is service to man, but service to man is not service to God. It's not that God is man. In the mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of the Supreme Lord. By serving the Supreme Lord, the living entity feels happiness. Such superb feelings were exhibited by the damsels of Rajabhumi for the happiness of the Lord. The gopis loved the Lord without any return, and this is the perfect exhibition of the akama spirit. Kama spirit, or the desire for one's own satisfaction, is fully exhibited in the material world, whereas the spirit of akama is fully exhibited in the spiritual world. The material world is based on lust, and the spiritual world is based on love, and love means selfless service. Everything in the spiritual world is love. Selfless service is prominent, all pervasive, all encompassing. In the material world, everywhere, everything is tinged with lust. But we can rise above that by serving the Lord even in this world, and then we can be in consciousness connected to the spiritual world. Everything is here. The spirit soul is here. The Lord is here in our hearts, in the deity form, in the form of the holy name. So we can engage in that service now, and we can engage in that service together with others, and we can all together be part of that selfless service atmosphere and create that in this material world. And we will continue to do that in the spiritual world. But if we don't do that, if we separate everything from the Lord, if we try to serve our senses only without remembering the Lord, then we are in the material world, and then it's fully manifested, the lust. Thoughts of becoming one with the Lord or being merged in the Brahmajyoti can also be exhibitions of karma spirit, if they are desires for one's own satisfaction to be free from the material miseries. A pure devotee does not want liberation, so that he may be relieved from the miseries of life. Even without so-called liberation, a pure devotee is aspirant for the satisfaction of the Lord. Influenced by the karma spirit, Arjuna declined to fight in the Kurukshetra battlefield because he wanted to save his relatives for his own satisfaction. But being a pure devotee, he agreed to fight on the instruction of the Lord, because he came to his senses and realized that satisfaction of the Lord at the cost of his own satisfaction was his prime duty. Thus he became akama, desireless. That is the perfect stage of a perfect living being. So here desireless means without material desire. Not without any desire, but with spiritual desire to serve the Lord, to please the Lord. Udaradi means one who has a broader outlook. People with desires for material enjoyment worship small demigods, and such intelligence is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as Hrita Jnana, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses. One cannot obtain any result from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see that the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for material benefits. Under the circumstances, one with a broader outlook, even with the desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, should take the worship of the Lord directly. And everyone, whether an akama or sakama or mokshakama, should worship the Lord with great expedience. Akama, no desire; sakama, full of desire; or mokshakama, desiring liberation. This implies that bhakti yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and jnana, as the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called tivra. Similarly, unmixed bhakti yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all, regardless of inner motive. Thank you for tuning in, and hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Hare Krishna.